It's time again to essentially see it's Banlist predictions, more or less. This is the video. It's my Banlist predictions. Let's get right into it. Now, I would like to state this is a predictions video, not a wish list. There are cards I would definitely love to see banned. If they could ban all of the adventure archetype, that'd be nice. Maybe ban about 50 other cards, and then we save Yu-Gi-Oh! And there's several other cards that I think are past their prime and could come back, like Dragon Rollers, among several other cards. I feel like half the cards that are banned or limited can come back with no problem. But I'm predicting what they will actually do. Now let's start off with the bans. Now, as far as banned cards, it's really hard to tell for the most part because we don't really have anything that's glaring ban. All the other cards are cards that people said should get banned, could get banned, may not get banned. I can't really say for 100% that these are getting banned. Last list, I was sure Yami was going to get banned, and it did. And the first card I have is Artifact Scythe. Please, let's get rid of it. Sure, you get rid of Verte. You think that it's just all of a sudden going to stop seeing play? No, of course it's not going to stop seeing play. It locks you out of the extra deck. If there's a way to abuse it, someone's going to find a way to abuse it. And of course they have. Now, on the flip side, some people might say Artifact Dagda should get banned because that's the problem. Dagda's not the problem. Is Dagda locking you out of the extra deck? No. All it does is get the card that locks your opponent out of the extra deck. And a card like Scythe, I just feel like shouldn't exist in Yu-Gi-Oh! Next is one that I'm kind of 50-50 on. Should it get hits? Yeah. Will it get hits? I honestly don't know. But I feel like a lot of people are really wanting it to be banned, and the fact that they limited it on the last list might be sort of like a hint as to maybe they're going to be banning it. Because it's a free Link 3. Crystron Halqifibrax, I can see it getting banned. I can see it staying. Should it get banned? Probably, yeah. But I just can't really give a 100% because this card has avoided the ban list time and time and time again. I have a feeling like this could be the list where it finally gets banned, but this is one that we're just going to have to wait and see. Next, please, to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Konami gods, ban Mystic Mine. Now, I haven't included this in past lists, mainly just because Mystic Mine, well, yes, it's an annoying card. It hasn't really been doing all that much. And then in this format, it's actually seeing play, which I'm kind of happy about in a weird way. I wanted Mystic Mine to become a staple just so they ban it. Because, to be honest, Mystic Mine's just not fun. Why has this card not been hit? Is it fun to play against? No. Is it fun to play with? Also no. Might as well just, essentially, playing against Mystic Mine is like watching paint dry. Now, the next card I think is probably going to get banned. Chaotic Roller. Now, Dragon Link I think does need to get hit. It's been far too good for far too long. And I hate the fact that it stops other Dragon archetypes from being popular, or well, not really being popular, but from having their own identity, as well as I kind of want Dragon Rulers to come back, so I would like it to get hit, so then Dragon Rulers can safely come back with no problem. That's kind of my ulterior motive, but A lot of people have been thinking that this is the card to get hit. I'm not really a Dragon Link player, so I can't really say like I know like what's the best way to hit it. Originally I was thinking just banning Striker Dragon, but would that really be enough to stop it? I don't think so, but hitting Chaotic Ruler would definitely hurt this deck a lot. Hopefully. And that's all I really have for cards can ban. Like this one, I'm not really sure. Like I feel like it could go either way with almost any of these cards. Now next, onto the limited section. Now first, definitely want to get these three out of the way. Steam the Cloak, Glow Up Bulb, and Mecha Fan Beast Alliant. If Hulk gets banned, these three can come back no problem because they were banned because of Hulk. And I'm not saying bring back Aurodon because I don't think Aurodon probably should be brought back either. And if Crystron Halkify Rex gets banned, then these three can come back no problem. Next, I have Elixir Scarlet Sanguine going to 1. If I remember correctly, I believe Elixir actually won Nationals. And as someone who's played against this deck multiple times, this deck's just annoying and not really fun to play against. I don't think Floodgate decks in general are fun to play against, even though one of my all-time favorite decks is a Floodgate deck. But that's besides the point. The fact that Eldritch is just a splashable Floodgate deck, I think, is what makes it the problem, because you can make... Now we got branded Eldritch, which... Eldritch on its own is bad enough, but combining it with branded, and it makes this whole new beast, and I definitely think this deck does need to get hit. Speaking of branded, how about branded opening? This one is one I'm not 200% on. I feel like if branded definitely does need to get hit, and hitting branded opening will definitely slow the power of this deck down a bit, but is this deck too new for it to get hits? I'd argue that Punk kind of is, but Punk's older than branded-ish, kind of, in a way. But Punk's only, like, just, I feel like recently within maybe, like, the last month has kind of come out as, like, one of the best decks of the format. Whereas Brand has been the best deck of the format since Destruction Deck, really. I feel like hitting branded opening is definitely the way to hit this deck. Next, I have Sword Soul Emergence 2-1. Can we finally get a Sword Soul hit? Sword Soul, even if it doesn't get hit, personally, I ain't going to complain. I don't really have a problem against Sword Soul. Sword Soul is a deck that, unlike most other competitive decks, it's fair. Like, I'd consider Salamangreat to have been fair. It's not like it's summoning a monster that's going to lock you into only wins, or inflict 600 burn damage every time you do anything, or activate a skill drain, or you get the point. More or less, it just puts up a few negates and a pop, and I feel like in a competitive deck that's fine. Annoying to play against, but it at least lets you play. And as to like where to hit Sword Soul, I feel like Emergence is the best place to do it. Like I've seen people, they're thinking about maybe limiting the Long Yang, but limiting the Long Yang, that's not going to do anything. If you hit it to 1, it's not going to change anything in Sword Soul. They just have 2 less Long Yang. But not to mention you got 3 Sword Soul Merchants. That searches it. Shishao. That also searches it. And if memory serves correctly, I don't know what it was. Was it Vessel or Heavenly Circle? Either way, one of those two searches it as well. So you got multiple searchers for Long Yang. So limiting it is not going to do anything. But if you limit the searchers, then not only is it going to be hard to get to Long Yong, but it's also going to make the engine a little bit more fragile. To essentially, if you can negate the Shishao, then the Baron de Fleur won't be coming, or the other Sorcel. I don't remember the name of it, but there's another one that they also summon. Now, as for cards that I think can get unbanned, we're trying to think about like what cards that Konami likes to unban. It's really hard because I feel like the last few lists they just throw a dart and like, yeah, let's bring that back. That's the only logical conclusion for them thinking that Skill Drain could come back to 3. Well, I'd also like them to hit Skill Drain to 1, but that's not happening. And the first is Spellbook of Judgment. Now, some people who played Spellbook in its prime are like, have you lost your mind? Then again, I didn't really play Spellbook in its prime, so maybe. But I feel like Spellbook is a lot more of a fair card because there's definitely a lot more negates, there's a lot more interaction. The game's a lot faster. And yeah, Spellbook does get you a lot of advantage, but I feel like it's not really the most splashable deck. Now you could argue maybe it could be splashable with Sky Strikers, but I don't really know on that. So I definitely think this can come back to 1, like test the waters with it. Obviously, if it's still too good, then you could just ban it right back. Next, Orcus Harpor. Why is this card still banned? I don't know why. You can bring it to 3, and that's not going to do anything. This is Orcus we're talking about. The deck is past its prime. There's just too much interruption, interaction, and the game's just way too fast for Orcus. Sure, Orcus can do some cool things, but I feel like a modern day Orcus deck may put up a few negates and that's really it. And people have been saying this card can come back to 1 for like a year. You brought Engage back. You brought Stalio back. And the Searcher Circle. Yet you haven't done anything to help these other 2 Eternal format decks, Thunder Dragon and Orcus. Now Colossus, I can definitely see the argument for it because that can actually be splashable because of, I think it was Nemesis Corridor or Nemesis Archer. I don't remember. But there's one that can essentially make Thunder Dragon Colossus splashable. I can understand that. But there is no excuse for Harpor to still be banned. It's not going to be splashable. They can try to make it splashable, but it's not really going to work. So I definitely think this card can come back to 1. Now next, I would definitely like to see a Dragon Roller come back. Maybe Blaster. Personally, I want to see all of them come back because that just looks like a deck that I'd have a lot of fun with, but I can't even play the deck because it's a banned deck. And I feel Dragon Rollers are, I wouldn't say they're past their prime entirely. They can still be very good, but they're no longer like, even if you were probably to bring in like 2, 3, I don't think it would be a tier 0 deck. Maybe, but I feel like bringing Blaster off is pretty fine. I don't think it's going to make any sort of significant impact. Maybe in Dragon Link, but even then, I don't think it's really going to change much. Now next is the card that I've kind of been looking like. I'm trying to kind of like analyze like how Konami's been unbanning their cards, and all of them have seemed kind of random. But there's one thing I've noticed in the past, let's say, list or 2, is that the cards that they are unbanning are cards that people I feel like have been long overdue to come back, like Time Seal, Yatagarasu, as well as the list before that with stuff like Moonlight Tiger. And I feel like the next one is going to be Wind Up Carriers Zenmaity. Why is it still banned? I I feel like maybe they're potentially scared of wind up hand loops, but let me give you a crash course in wind ups. The hand loop's not that great. Even if you were to bring the carrier back to 3 copies and have 3 hunters, you still can't rip your opponent's hand apart. All it takes is 1 hand trap to essentially just shut that whole thing down. And even then, you'd have to get a pretty good hand in order to really do that. Like, I've even tried practicing on a Master Duel. I've been definitely practicing with windups where, yes, Hunter's banned, but they do have Zenmaity at 1. And you want to know what happens? Nothing. Even if they just want to ban Hunter just to bring it back, I'd still be fine with that. It'd be pointless, but windups, they need their boat back. Because I've noticed without the Zenmaity, the deck it struggles to even function as a deck. If you don't open the shark or a way to get to a shark, and you don't have any rats, you have no plays. But at least with Zenmaity can allow you to extend and all sorts of things, and it definitely makes the deck a lot better. So please, bring it back. Now next, let's move on to the semi-limited list. Now I'm going to put these two and talk about them at the same time, and that is Water Enchantress and Riot of Aramis here. I feel like it's either going to be them getting limited to 2 or the Water Enchantress to 1. I feel like those are the only 2 arguments, but considering it's for Konami standards, it's still pretty new. I feel like they're not going to want to hit it too hardly, but it needs to get hit. Something needs to be done about this. Sure, yes, it makes other decks more competitive. At the same time, it makes the format pretty boring. Like, side fact, I used to compete in tournaments, at least at my locals, say on a weekly basis, multiple times a week. But lately I haven't been. Because I'm tired of these engines. That's the one thing I don't like about this format. It's just throw a bunch of engines together and boom, you have a deck. Yeah, that's very creative and definitely original. Half sarcastic, half not. I feel like it needs to be hit because it's way too relevant and it's just annoying and it makes the deck a lot worse. Personally, I don't think its deck should have ever existed in the first place, but I think at this point they're just setting Yu-Gi-Oh! On fire. First Adventure, upcoming Splites, or Sprites. That's another video entirely. Next, can we get Infernity Archfiend to 2, please? Please, thank you. I'm surprised that they haven't moved either Infernity Archfiend or Infernity Launcher further off the list with all the support we've been getting for the deck. And I don't get why. Infernity Launcher, okay, I can see the argument. Infernity Launcher is definitely really good. Infernity Archfiend, it's still really good, but not in the same way as Infernity Launcher. And even, I feel like if you were to bring both these cards to 3, the deck's just not really going to do much. Maybe with Launcher to 3, it probably could. But it doesn't matter how many Infernity Archfiend you had. If you have 3 or 1, it's not really going to change things too much, to be honest. More or less just because of how the deck functions. If you have cards in hands, you can't even activate your effects. So it's got its own thing holding its back. So I feel like Infernity Archfiend 2/2 is very possible. It's something I've been saying for a while. And please bring it back, please. Next, I feel like each list is we bring back some sort of pendulum monster or pendulum support. And some people might say the Kieran, some people might say the Plush Fire. However, I'm going to say Servant of Endymion to 2. I feel like Endymion, to be honest, I didn't even think it needed to get hit in the first place. But I feel like this could come back to 2 or even 3, and it's not going to make much of a difference. Pendulum's still not going to be in that great of a position. Now, next is I feel a pretty realistic pick. Salamangreat Gazelle. Salamangreat Gazelle is essentially the last Salamangreat card still on the list. Mirage Sally is off. Circle is off. All that's left is one copy of Gazelle. And Salamangreat has always been, I'd say, a pretty fair deck. If it were to join the metagame at the same levels as Sorcel, honestly, I wouldn't mind that. Because, like Sorcel, it's a pretty fair deck. It doesn't do anything too, I'd say, annoying. So, yeah. Salamangreat Gazelle to 2. Next, we got cards that are going completely off the list. With the first one being Pot of Desires. I find it hilarious how they limited it, and then on the next list they just brought it back to 2. Like, what was your point? I don't know what the thought process with Pot of Desires is or was. Did they want to hit it or not? Make up your mind. Now next I also have Dynamite Knights. First went to 2, then went to 3, so it's only logical that also comes back in. I like how they've been slowly bringing back the True Draco stuff, because True Draco is a favorite deck of mine. Although I'd much rather than bring back Masterpiece. And to be honest, Masterpiece could come back. It'd be very powerful, yes, but it's not quite as powerful as it used to be. But yeah, Dynamite Knight to 3. Next, I feel like they're probably going to move Fusion Destiny to 3. Phoenix Enforcer with Vertagon hasn't really done too much. In fact, I haven't seen it at all. And having 3 copies might make its way back into the metagame, but maybe only a little bit. Because definitely having just be able to slap that Phoenix Enforcer down is really nice, and Fusion Destiny will do that. Next, I'm so glad this card is coming back. Trickstar Light Stage 2-3. They brought it to 2 on the last list, which I was very happy about, because to be honest, I've been wanting to play with 3 Light Stage in my Trickstars again. So I'm definitely really happy with that. And actually someone did, in a regional, the last regional I went to, someone actually did really well with the Trickstar deck. I don't think they topped, but they like bubbled or something like that. Next, Wall of Revealing Light. Went to 2. Probably just going to go back to 3. Natural Order. And the other one, I feel like Yata-Garasu can also come back. To be honest, why leave it at 1? Just take it completely off the list. Yata-Garasu is nice, but it's just not good anymore. Spirits themselves really aren't good anymore, except maybe Amano Wado and certain niche decks. Now the next one is, so I noticed how I feel like every list we got that one out of nowhere card from 0 or 1 straight to 3. And to be honest, I think that this time is going to be Gen X Ally Birdman. To be honest, I don't really even know why it was limited. Maybe it was because of some loop, but I feel like it's just not good by modern standards. Even in Gen X, I would not play Birdman. It's just not that great of a card in my opinion, so I feel like it can come back 2-3 no problem. And I feel like that's what Kanai is going to do. This is, I guess, like my wild thinking what they're going to throw a dart and hit kind of guess. Well, that's it for my ban list. Let me know, what do you think? Do you agree with some of the picks? What else do you think should get banned, limited, or even come back? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video I make. Bye.